Okay. Good morning, everyone, and thank you. We're going to give it one more second, actually. I'm seeing people populating and joining us, so we'll give it a couple more seconds before we jump right in with our program. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the latest Missouri Public Transit Association educational series. Today, we're going to be focusing on electric transit vehicle showcase. This topic has been of interest to several of our members as the technology in the electric fleet field has been rapidly evolving to become more efficient and affordable. And we're seeing more and more electric vehicles arrive in Missouri at our transit provider sites as we go through the months. Today, we have the opportunity to hear from some of our vendor members to hear what they may have available to assist in the transition to an electric vehicle fleet. And I think we're going to be hearing more and more of this as we get into this new administration in Washington. So I think that this is really a timely topic for many of our transportation providers and stakeholders. First, I'd like to welcome the MPTA board members who have joined us this morning. I know we can't see your faces, but we really appreciate your commitment to public transit in Missouri, and thank you for attending. Second, thanks to Mallory Box, our program associate, for setting this webinar up for us today. I'd like to welcome our speakers who have joined us today. First off, we will hear from John Horonczyk. I hope I did that right, John, from BAE Systems. Second, John Hatch and Paul Blank with BYD are here with us today. And finally, Ken Becker, the Regional Sales Director with Proterra. Each of our speakers will be given about 10 minutes to talk about their products and solutions, and then we will open it up for questions at the end. A reminder to all of our webinar participants, please place your questions in either the Q&A area or in the chat box, and we will get to them as quickly as we can throughout the panel discussion. I think that's it. I think those are all the housekeeping items. Again, I want to thank you all for joining us. I want to thank our vendor members who are participating today. We hope you see value in this as an opportunity to meet with MPTA providers across the state through this format. And I'm going to turn it over to John Horonczyk. Thank you for joining us, John.
Thank you, Kim, and thank you, Kim and the MPTA for this opportunity to talk to everybody. My name is John Horonczyk. I work at BAE Systems, and this is going to be hard for a sales guy to keep it to 5 minutes, but I'm going to give it my best shot. So, Mallory, if you don't mind going ahead and advancing the slide. Click it one more time, Mallory, if you don't mind. One of the things we want to talk about, I'd like to talk to you about, is the efficiency and power electronics and what we want out of our battery electric buses. On the far left, I think people would tend to say, I would love a battery electric bus that drives like a diesel and can be maintained like a diesel. The good parts of a diesel bus, right? The access and how do I get to certain things. It refuels, in a timely manner. I can run all my accessories like I can on a diesel bus. I can go as far and carry as many people as I can. And what we've seen in the industry is the answer to a lot of these things are larger capacity energy storage systems at somewhat of a sacrifice of carrying passengers. Go ahead, Mallory. Oh, sorry. There you go. At BAE Systems, we've taken our 20 plus years in system management, power electronics, working with energy storage systems and electric motors. And we focused on efficiency. And I kind of go back to, we've all bought cars in the past, and the biggest number on any of these stickers is always the miles per gallon. So instead of just adding, more and more kilowatt hours onto a bus, what if we could be more efficient with the energy storage on the bus and change the conversation from larger and larger batteries to more and more efficiency, managing kilowatts like we do gallons of gas in a car. Go ahead, Mallory. And what we've done at BAE Systems is we're releasing our 3rd generation of power electronics. And this is an example of what I'm talking about. On the left is a power electronics power inverter that runs accessory loads on over 6,500 hybrid electric buses across the world. So all of your electric air conditioning, power steering, anything that we take off the engine runs on the box on the left. It stands for Accessory Power System and version 2. The maps on the right is what we're releasing as our 3rd generation product. It's modular, that's what the M stands for. But most importantly, it uses new switching technology. It uses silicon carbide switches, which we've derived out of military applications to reduce weight and the size of these components. So you see on the bottom left that we've taken a considerable amount of weight and space, which are critical factors in an electric bus. And at the same time, we've downsized and right-sized the amount of amperage coming through and servicing all your power electronics. So you're seeing a double-digit benefit from efficiency, weight, and space. One more slide, Mallory. And what that means on the bus is you're looking at the Novabus Lfse Plus, which is their long-range battery electric bus with components supplied by BAE. So that the traction motor is the traction motor we have on over 13,000 hybrid electric buses. It's proven, it's robust, it's an electric motor. The key thing are the power electronics. So we've taken them off the roof. So now your maintenance department, personnel don't have to climb up on the roof to access these components. They're in what's currently referred to as the engine compartment. So it's on ground level, it's accessible. It can be removed. It's lighter, it's smaller, it's easier to manage. It also is closer to where the power is required. So there's certain efficiency gains just in reducing cable lengths, reducing harnessing, and taking all that weight out off the bus. And what we believe is that we're going to see that this is going to change the conversation from just larger and larger batteries to more and more efficiency from a system level, and really managing the power that's available on the bus and going further with the energy storage you already have. And I hope, was that 5 minutes? I hope so.
So you have 10 minutes, John. So if there's anything you want to add, you get to keep going today.
I could do some hand puppets, or I don't know any clean jokes, but I guess, the last thing I'll mention is BAE, if you're not familiar with the company I work for, we've been doing electric drive components and systems for over 20 years. So we're the market leader in hybrid electric propulsion, but we actually have over 400 battery electric buses operating using the same components that are in our hybrid systems, as well as we can also use the same components for hydrogen. So it's an electric motor system. Every battery electric bus is driven by an electric motor. Ours is just on over 13,000 platforms. And that's where we lay claim to be very robust and proven. Cities like New York City, Boston, Montreal, Minneapolis, San Francisco, Seattle, all run hybrids with the same components that you saw on the Novabus platform. And we're looking forward to, Novabus is just getting into the market with this larger bus. They've leveraged some of the work they've done on a smaller platform. And we're actively bidding, and we're starting to win some business with the Novabus guys. So it's an exciting time, certainly, and as everybody knows on the call, to be in the electric bus business.
Right. So I am going to jump in really quickly here. BAE Systems, John can only be with us for about 25 minutes. So if you do have any questions for John today, please drop those in the chat box or in question and answer, and we will get to those. I'm going to let you answer one of these questions, John, because I know you're going to jump off, and then we're going to turn it over to John Hatch. But does BAE work to convert existing rolling stock to electric?
So it's technically feasible, And I would just question how practical it is, just being honest. We have converted diesel buses to electric accessory only systems. So in other words, not replacing the engine with an electric motor, but adding, frankly, the APS system I showed you in my presentation, to electrify all the accessory loads on a diesel bus. To take a hybrid bus to make it fully electric is also something that can be done. It's a matter of working with the additional weight of the batteries, but the electric motor and power electronics are all the same.
Okay.
And I see a second question. No, we aren't on smaller platforms. Our motor, the motor we have today is 200 kilowatts, which is oversized for paratransit, but we are working on a smaller motor that in the future, I would say 2 to 3 years out, would be suitable for paratransit.
Thank you, John, very much for that update. And we'll be looking for other questions for you. So next up, we're going to turn it over to John Hatch and his associate Paul Blank with BYD. John, you're up.
Hello, how are you? And thank you for having me. I want to let you know I'm actually filling in for Jason Yan. He's the salesperson for the territory, but he had a very important meeting today, so he picked me to fill in. Hopefully I can do half as good as he would do. So if we start the first page where the nicknamed official sponsor of Mother Nature. Okay, next page, please. Okay, this is Jason Yan's information, Director of Sales, and his phone number and his contact email.
We'll include this in the follow-up blog as well for you.
These are a few models of our buses we have. Okay, the next page, we got our business divisions. We have our forklift, our bus. We have our garbage truck cars. We have energy solutions as far as solar panels, battery storage, electronics, and we have our SkyRail monorail. Next page, please. A little bit about BYD. We employ 250,000 employees globally. We're the global leader in electric buses. We have our U.S. manufacturing plant located in Lancaster, California, over 550,000 square feet with over 850 local employees. And we're ISO 9001 certified. Next, there we go. And our plant in Lancaster is a union shop, and our buses are produced with over 70% US content. Our stock, now that's a good one, our stock. We're actually part of the BYD is listed on the stock exchange. Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway, is a big owner of BYD. I think he owns about 10%. But when I joined the company about 6 years ago, our stock was trading at $8 a share. Now it's up in the $60 range. Next. Okay, this is a picture of our production facility in Lancaster, California. It's over 550,000 square feet with over 750 employees. This is where our buses are manufactured in California. Also, our whole idea of the Mother Nature is to take energy from the sun via solar panels, put into our battery storage facility, and then charge off the sun. Next page. Okay, here is a little bit of our Altoona Altoona update. We have our models that had passed, our 30-foot, our 35-foot, our 60-foot, our 40-foot. In progress right now is our over-the-road 40-foot. And you can see at the bottom the ones that are working. And then our core technology, we are our frame and chassis welded together. We are integrated from the battery. We make our own, build our own battery, or build our own electronics and the bus. Our motors, range from 150 to 180 kilowatt. They're located in the rear wheels, one on each side, so 2 motors per bus. Right here, it tells a little bit more about the motors. They're in-hub, in-wheel assemblies, and shows the modules, the battery modules location on the bus. We have some on the roof and on the ground floor. Okay, we use an iron phosphate battery. It's known as one of the safest batteries in the world. They're subject to impact, puncture, external fire tests, crush, vibration, and drop. It's a very safe battery. That's why we went with the iron phosphate. And our warranties on our batteries, we have a 12-year battery warranty. Covers the batteries. Okay, and our charging. We started off as an AC charging company. Now we've diversed into a DC. We actually offer AC and DC charging on our buses now. We have the regular chargers and fast charge DC. We can do inductive charging in the ground, or we can do charging over roof of the bus. We have our chargers, our depot charging, very easily to install. This one right here is an 80 kilowatt charger, and very easy to install, charge the bus right up. Or we can do, like I said, DC charging, or we can do inductive charging in ground or overhead, whatever the customer wants. Okay, here we talk a little bit about our battery storage facilities. We have one in West Virginia and one in San Diego, California. And then these are actually our repeated customers. In my territory, I've got about 95% of my customers are repeat customers. We like to see the customers come back. We do everything we can do to keep a repeat customer. And just want to thank you for your time today, and I look forward to answering any questions you might have. And thank you again for having me.
So John, I'm going to jump in really quickly. There was one question for you to get started, and then we're going to turn it over to Ken to hear from Proterra as well. But do you think the future of transit is to have sufficient range from the initial charge or generate additional charge via an en-route charging system? Is there a type of en-route charger that BYD feels works best? Pan up, pan down, wireless, plug-in?
Well, I do see the need for inductive charging with some of these long runs that people are doing, especially going commercial on the private side, where you're going from one location several hundred miles away. And we've had a lot of positive results with our inductive. We use 2 manufacturers, Momentum Dynamics and Wave. We've had a lot of positive results with them for in-ground inductive charging. That seems like the way of the future. And now with this new DC, I have not personally sold any DC buses yet, but I do have them coming down the line. I have a lot of interest in the DC charging also for the fast charge. So to answer your question, I see on-route charging being a big thing in the future. Okay,
great. Thank you, John, very much. So now we're going to turn it over to Ken Becker, and Ken is the Regional Sales Director with Proterra. So Ken, thank you for joining us today, and you are up.
Thanks for having me. I really sincerely appreciate it. Exciting to be in front of everybody here today. I'm the Chicago area, so Midwestern guy. So hang on tight. I'm going to blast through these really quick, and I'm going to throw a lot of information at you. So please bear with me. So let's get into it. Next slide. So a little bit about what we're going to cover real quick. So I'm going to introduce you to Proterra a little bit. I'm going to start where we start, which is where do we start, right? And it's the process of engagement. I'm going to talk a little bit about charging and infrastructure. I'm going to show you what our new ZX5 looks like. This is our 5th generation bus that we're awfully excited about. And battery technology and safety, a topic that is extremely important to Proterra, and it should be to everybody who is going to be purchasing battery electric buses. And then I'm going to address extreme winter, and then I'm going to touch on what's going on right now with funding available. So next slide. So Proterra has been delivering battery electric buses now for 10 years. And that doesn't seem like a long time, but in battery electric bus years, that's a long time. We have learned a whole lot, as I'm sure you're all aware, and become the leader in North America at this. You can see that our customers are not necessarily in California, which is a common misconception. They're all over the United States and very heavy in the Midwest. I certainly have as much activity as I can handle right now. So we've sold over 1,000 buses. We're in over 43 states. We've got over 600 buses in service today. Okay, over 16 million service miles. So where do we start? The first thing that we do, you can go to the next slide. That's okay. Then this is what we have learned. The first thing that we do to be able to answer any questions about what kind of bus you need, what size bus, how much energy, how do you charge, is we collect data. And we do that through route modeling and now fleet modeling. So we can work with your agency with regards to fleet modeling, with avoiding demand charging costs. And ultimately from that data, we can determine, do you need X amount of battery energy, onboard energy storage? So that's where that starts. And then we're able to determine how to charge those buses. What is the best means of charging? And I can tell you real quick that the way we approach this is, if you can get the job done on a single charge overnight and be able to get the entire day's worth of operation service out of that bus that it has typically been on, then that is the way to go. Overhead charging is another level. It's another league, if you will, with regards to getting more than what an overnight charge will get you. And of course, we offer different financing options and such as battery leasing. We can pull the battery pack cost out of the bus, and we can do a battery lease agreement with you, which would just be an annual payment, and you treat it like fuel. So next slide. The new ZX5, we are showing amazing results with it. This bus has 675 onboard kilowatts per hour of onboard energy, the most of any 40-foot bus on the market. We're now getting 300 miles on a single charge, which is just incredible, something we're very proud to have achieved. But ultimately, that little document on the top there, not really meant to read right now, but I could certainly share examples with you if you'd like offline. But it gives details of an average day, a cold day, a hot day, and we look at worst case scenarios, right? So we figured out what's the least amount of miles we would get with let's say, cold weather. So next slide. Here's an example of some data we've received just recently, a few weeks ago, out of Denver. We've extrapolated 289 miles on a single charge on a 40-degree day. Not too bad for a 40-foot bus, electric bus. So next slide. Proterra Energy. We learned right away that we can't just sell the bus. We have to sell the gas station too. And it's not because we want to be in that business. It's because we have found it greatly improves your chances of everything working the way it should and meeting all your expectations. So we have a dedicated team of industry experts that work for Proterra. They're part of Proterra Energy, and they can do what we call a turnkey, which means we will work with your utility. We'll work with local contractors. We'll do the planning, and we provide the charging equipment as well, and all that installation. So next slide. We just introduced a new line of charging equipment, the company out of Arizona, and they are showing 95% reliability, which is incredible. The most important thing is that if your charger doesn't work, you can't charge your bus, obviously. So this is critical to have reliable chargers. But if you're looking at a large fleet solution or a small, we have that solution for you. The idea is the higher the kilowatt, the faster you'll charge up that bus. So if a bus was at 0% stated charge, you're looking at about 3 hours or so to fully charge that bus. Typically, you're not running a bus down to 0%. That big unit, that 1.5 megawatt charger on the top left, That's super popular right now. That has the ability to charge 20 buses simultaneously. Okay. You can do combinations of plug-in charging and overhead charging with that. So it offers you that flexibility. Next slide. It's just a screenshot of what overhead charging looks like. It was mentioned earlier. This is Chicago Transit Authority, and this is a great example of Proterra Energy turnkey project here. So that building in the back is built by Proterra, of course, managed, and we hired a local contractor to Chicago Transit Authority's choosing. And there's an example of what an overhead fast charger looks like. So we not only built that terminal, we built a very large one at Navy Pier. So next time you're downtown Chicago, check that out. Next slide. The new ZX5, everything we have learned over the last 10 years has gone into this bus. We've lowered the overall roof height, so now the bus is under 11 feet. We've enabled the bus to raise and kneel faster. We've opened up the wheel well so you can put any size tires. We've enlarged that driver's window to the left of the driver on the street side. We've shrunken the A-pillars down. We've made the bus more ergonomic in general. So very excited about these changes. And now the most important thing is we now created more space on the roof to add additional energy storage, which I'll show you here in the next slide. So Proterra had the luxury of starting out with a clean sheet of paper. In doing so, we actually designed the bus around the battery packs. That whole bus, I saw a question pop up about our frame. That whole bus is the frame. That is a composite body. The walls are that thick on this. They're built just like we build, you see yachts being built. It went through Altoona, did very well. And specifically with our new ZX5 with 675 kilowatts of energy. So next slide. I mentioned the composite body. That body is built for us by a company called TPI. They make there's a wind farm windmill blades, and they make Proterra bus bodies. It is just a fantastic piece that is light because we had to, you got to reduce weight if you're gonna do a battery electric bus because of the weight of those battery packs. But it's non-corrosive. There's nothing to corrode or rust on this bus. And lastly, it's non-conductive. So all important things with a purpose-built battery electric bus. There's a shot that shows the additional battery pack storage on the roof. So again, that'll get you 675 kilowatts of energy, which is just a ton. Okay, next slide. So look at our battery packs. This is my favorite part of the presentation, battery safety. We have done all of those tests that were mentioned earlier and then some. Next slide, please. These battery packs are built by Proterra. I don't expect you to read this, but I will share this with you offline. These are all the tests that we have finished and passed. So next slide. This is the most important test with regards to battery safety. Inside those battery packs that we build are these tier 1 LG Chem cells, okay? Those cells are all nestled together. So next slide. If there is a cell failure on a Proterra, the patent that we have on this, passive propagation resistance, PPR, simply fuses around that failed cell, so it will not ignite cells next to it. What we have learned is that there will be a cell failure. It happens. The trick is, how do you keep it from igniting the rest of the pack and have something very, very bad happen? So next slide. Cold weather. Next slide. We learned from Duluth that we need to have an auxiliary fuel fired heater system. It kills us to have diesel in the equation, but if it means you're going to get a longer range because less use of your electric heater, and it means that you're going to have warmer passengers and drivers, then that's what we're doing right now until something better is developed that's non-diesel. So next slide. Those battery packs, by the way, are temperature controlled. They're always at 72 degrees. So there's no issue with the batteries being cold or warm. They're maintained at that temperature. You get less range because you got your electric heat on high all day, or your AC if in the summer. So that's just an example of what the heat looks like. So
just want to let you know we're right about out of time.
Okay, this is the last slide.
Okay, great.
Just want to invite you all to join us and ask us to partner with you for Lono. This is the most money we've seen in years. I'm sure you all know that your chances of winning are better if you partner with a manufacturer. We have grant writing support. Grants are due April 12th, and we are in it right now. It is low-no season. So the best way to procure a battery electric bus.
Thank you, Ken, very much. We have quite a few questions now in our chat box, and also in our question and answer. So thank you to all of our attendees. There is a lot of interest on this, and you are right. The low-no funds are out there, so we are hoping that Missouri providers figure out a way to access those funds, and really, this is an opportunity for everyone. So the first question goes to BYD. Are the BYD buses built on a heavy-duty frame?
Yes, they are.
Okay, well, that was easy enough. There you go. That question was from Matt Crawford at City
Yep.
Utilities. So thank you
Yep.
for that quick answer.
And let me add also, we build buses ranging from 23 to 60 feet.
Okay. So is in-ground inductive charging or overhead charging more efficient and better cost solution? So that's the first question. And then what is the time frame from contract award to delivery for BYD or Proterra buses?
John, you want to go first? That's fine.
Sure, contract delivery is 1 year after the SPO has been signed off on.
We're at 12 to 14 months as well. Proterra, 35-foot and 40-foot bus only. The whole bus is a heavy-duty frame, essentially. I'd have to go in more detail about that to explain exactly how those suspension mounts, but all that. But we're plug-in J1772 and J3105 overhead. That's it. Bus infrastructure down, so no more bus up, and some of those things that were being tried that we saw out of Europe.
On a single charge, do you mean 4 to 5 hours overnight?
We do not. We do not. We're under 4 hours for our regular 450 kilowatt bus, and a little over 5 hours for our 675 kilowatt bus.
Okay, John, do you want to weigh in on that as well?
Yeah, we're the same, and it doesn't have to be overnight. It could be at any time.
Okay. So the next question I think goes to both of you, and I think we've lost John Horonczyk. Is that right, Mallory? He had to step away. Okay. So what backup do you have for total failure in the electric grid, similar to what we saw happen last week in Texas?
John, you go for. I guess we'll go with John first, then me each time. That's fine.
Okay.
Right.
Well, what I've seen is some of our customers buy a big generator and have plenty of diesel on property where they can use a generator to charge up their buses.
Okay.
So the generator is always a solution. What we're doing with customers right now as part of the turnkey solution is actually having rooms that will have retired batteries from their buses that are stackable for use in emergency situations where there's a total power shutdown. You can get through energy through storage and store it in those retired battery packs. It's a lot of facilities are going this direction right now with solar and storing that energy.
That is very good what you're talking about. And another reason to do the energy storage is if you have if the electricity is very expensive and you get a deal if you get it off peak, then you can charge up your battery storage and just charge the bus anytime off of that. So that's great.
Right.
Thank you. So
I've got a quick follow-up question for that. If you lease the batteries, like you were discussing earlier, will those batteries still qualify for that battery storage program, power storage program?
Absolutely. Yeah. And you could add the battery lease cost in your loan-o as well, which we have a lot of customers doing.
Yes, and what we also do the battery leasing, and also I'm sure that the other manufacturers you can work with your local power company, and they can actually buy the battery from you and include the charge in your kilowatt price. I'm sure the other manufacturers do that too.
That's correct.
Okay, so the next question is for Proterra. Are all of your indoor plug-in chargers on pedestals, or could they be mounted overhead?
Every installation is custom. That's the fun part about this. Whatever works best with your facility. So Proterra Energy works with your facilities engineer, the utility. We do a site walk, determine where the equipment's going to go. The nice thing is that big charger I showed you, that could be mounted outside if you'd like, but it could also be mounted 500 feet away from the actual charge cables. Those charge cables are connected to dispensers that I mentioned, can be 500 feet away from the actual charger. You can mount them overhead. They can come down on a reel. They can be mounted on a pedestal. There's several different applications and new ones being designed every day. So.
Okay. So another one to you, Ken, while you're up, is Proterra on a heavy duty chassis?
So the best way I could explain that is that whole body structure that I mentioned is composite is more similar to a monocoque, I would say. But that whole underside is all structure. The battery packs themselves that bolt in add structure to the bus. But like I said, the walls are that thick on this bus. The composite frame structure is even thicker. And it's a nice rigid solution. And again, when you have heavy battery packs and you want to maintain that high capacity, we got to start out with a clean sheet of paper and design this with carbon fiber. So it's the same way supercars are built.
Okay, super. So John, the next one is for you. Is there any research on the 23-foot bus you mentioned for use in rural areas? We have several of our rural transit providers who are on the call with us today as a part of the webinar. So any information you have for both of you actually with regards to your vehicles that would be applicable to our rural providers, that would be helpful as well.
Well, on our 23-footer, we do have some out in the States. However, it's not built in California. It's still built in China. So you cannot use federal money for that. We are going to be building them in the States maybe a year or two from now. We are expanding and we bought ground for another building manufacturing plant. We will be doing that then. But as of right now, no. Right now, I've been talking to people about our 30-foot bus, 96-inch wide 30-foot bus is just about small enough to get through any tight fitting areas. But that would be the smallest we have right now would be a 30-foot, 96-inch wide.
So Proterra partnered with a company called Optimal out of Michigan. They build a really nifty cutaway composite, uses our Proterra battery packs and drive system. 27 feet long, 23 passengers max. You could do a 12 and 2 or a 12 and 3 with it. It's a low floor, very similar to an Arbach with that design. No kneeling, so it'd be like their Spirit of Freedom. Ramp accessible battery electric bus is available now and being Altoona tested and also available for Lono as well.
Okay, great. So we do have another question. Let's see. Proterra, what is the shortest? Oh, I think you just touched on it. What is the shortest electric bus you produce? 30 foot?
A 35 foot and 40 foot. So 35 is our shortest. That's where the 80% of all the buses are, just about. And then I saw that question pop up about cutaway. That Optimal does meet Buy America.
Okay. And what is the estimated range for the 27-foot bus?
If I remember correctly, it's about 140 miles.
Okay.
You know, less real estate to put battery energy. So, you know, that's what we get.
So are there any other questions from those who are in attendance today? If you want to add those to our chat box or our Q&A. I just want to thank all of our panelists today, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mallory to wrap up. But I want to do a quick advertisement reminder that we are going to have our conference this year, and it will be a 3-state conference. It will be Missouri, Iowa, and Kansas. The Midwest Transit Conference is set for September 7th through the 9th in St. Louis. We will also have a 1-day virtual option for those who don't feel comfortable traveling quite yet with the pandemic. But we would hope to see all of you in St. Louis in September. I think it would be a great opportunity for people to see your buses and actually be able to potentially board one of these and get a feel for what they're like. I think with all 3 states coming, we'll have more attendees, hopefully. The pandemic won't keep them away, but thank you again for your time today. I don't see any more questions, but I know Mallory has some housekeeping and wants to talk about some upcoming MPTA workshops that we're going to be holding. So thank you again to our panelists. And Mallory, I'm going to turn it over to you to wrap us up today, unless there's any more questions that pop up.
Okay, thanks, Kim. So we have our upcoming March 11th roundtable. That was thanks to Matt Crawford, who brought that up. Anyway, so the MPTA roundtable for transit operators and personnel is at noon on March 11th, and that'll be via Zoom. And we also have registration links for that at our website, mopublictransit.org. Kim did already mention the conference, and we are working on a registration website for that as well. So just stay tuned. We'll be pushing out updates on that pretty continuously. And then for our next vendor spotlights, we're looking at the following topics. Passenger safety will be our next one, and we're looking in April for that to be scheduled. We also are looking for vendors to discuss mobile ticketing options and onboard technology. So if you know any other vendors that you want to hear from, please go ahead and send us an email on that, and we can put out a direct ask. All right, I think that's it for today, Kim. We'll wrap it on up, and we'll see you guys at the next event. Again, that's March 11th. That's our roundtable, and the registration links are on mopublictransit.org. Yeah, thank you for your time. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, John. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Have a good
before
day.
we wrap up, are there any final comments from Ken or John that you'd like to add, or your contact information for our attendees?
John, you go first.
No, I'm good. I just thanks everybody for paying attention, and
I just want to apologize for having to go so fast to go through all of that info. That's a lot of information, but as we know, there's a lot to this. And that's why we figured out we've got to be the one point of contact for the entire project. And those are the most successful ones. So we appreciate the opportunity.
And to Ken's point, we will be publishing all of this information that we can, PDFs of the slideshows, if that's available, all of that on our follow-up blog. And if it's not up by the end of the day today, it'll be up very early tomorrow morning on our website, mopublictransit.org. You should be able to find it there. I usually put them under the titles of replay. So that's how you can find our replayed webinars. So thank you again. Thank you everyone for your time.
thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.